Rain hammered the city streets as Sienna pushed through the narrow alley, her red hair plastered against her pale cheeks. The black envelope had arrived 3 days ago. No return address. Just one line scrawled in silver ink. Come as you are, leave as someone else. She slipped through an unmarked door. Music pulsed through her chest. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across bodies swaying on the dance floor. Faces hid behind ornate masks that glittered like stolen secrets. Sienna adjusted her own mask, simple gold filigree that curved over her cheekbones. Tonight, she wasn't the struggling artist whose paintings gathered dust. Tonight she could be anyone. From the balcony above, Leon Hart watched the crowd with cold detachment. His black mask matched his tailored suit. The scotch in his hand sat untouched, reflecting amber light. He was used to being the most powerful man in any room. But here, behind the mask, anonymity felt like freedom. No one whispered about his ruthless business tactics or the companies he'd crushed without mercy. Their collision was pure accident. Sienna spun away from a drunken admirer just as Leon descended the stairs. He caught her by the waist before she could fall. Her laughter was breathless, her eyes defiant behind the mask. Careful, he murmured, his voice low and rough. These nights have a way of getting away from you. She tilted her head, studying him with open curiosity. Maybe that's what I want. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Be careful what you wish for. The music shifted to something slow and sultry. Without speaking, he led her onto the dance floor. Their bodies found a rhythm that felt ancient and inevitable. Her back arched against his chest. His hand traced the curve of her spine. The world narrowed to the heat between them. They didn't exchange names. For tonight, that was enough. When they left together, the city blurred around them as they tumbled into the back of a waiting car. Every kiss was a dare, every touch a promise of something neither could name. His penthouse loomed high above the glittering streets. They shed their masks and their inhibitions, moving together with a desperation born of loneliness. Sienna's skin glowed in the moonlight as Leon's hands mapped every curve and hollow. They were strangers seeking solace in each other's arms, trying to fill the voids that life had carved into them. Afterward, they lay tangled in silk sheets. The city's lights painted patterns on the ceiling. Sienna watched the rise and fall of Leon's chest, her heart pounding with something she refused to name. Before dawn could steal the magic, she slipped from the bed and gathered her clothes in silence. She left her mask on the pillow. A silent thank you, a goodbye. Leon woke to an empty room and the lingering scent of her perfume. He stared at the gold mask on his pillow, his jaw clenched tight. He told himself it was for the best. He didn't need complications, didn't need memories of a night that felt too much like hope. But as the days passed, her laughter haunted him. He found himself searching for her in every crowd, replaying the night in his mind until it blurred into fantasy. He didn't know her name, but he knew the feel of her skin, the taste of her lips. It was madness, and Leon Hart didn't do madness. 3 weeks later, Sienna's world shifted in small, unsettling ways. Food tasted strange. Her emotions swung wildly. Exhaustion clung to her bones. She ignored the signs until she couldn't anymore. The test was positive. The lines were clear and unyielding. She sat on her bathroom floor, knees drawn to her chest, staring at the future she had never planned for. She thought of the mysterious man, whose name she still didn't know, and felt a pang of longing so sharp it made her breath catch. She pressed a hand to her stomach, a small, fierce smile curving her lips. "We'll be okay?" she whispered to the life growing inside her. "I promise." 6 months passed like sand through Sienna's fingers. Her studio apartment had become a fortress of half-finished canvases and baby books stacked on every surface. Her belly swelled with life, and she painted through the fear, the loneliness, the wonder of it all. She'd stopped searching for the man from the Masquerade. Some mysteries were meant to stay buried. The gallery opening was supposed to be her fresh start. Sienna adjusted the strap of her emerald dress, the fabric flowing over her rounded stomach. Her red hair cascaded over bare shoulders. She'd poured her soul into these paintings. Dark abstracts that spoke of longing and transformation. Tonight, the city's elite would finally see her work displayed on pristine white walls. She stepped into the gallery, champagne glasses clinking, voices humming with pretension. And then she saw him. Leon Hart stood across the room in a charcoal suit, his dark hair perfectly styled, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass. He was talking to the gallery owner, his posture radiating power and control. He looked nothing like the masked stranger from that night, yet everything about him screamed familiar. Their eyes locked. The world stopped. Recognition slammed into them both like a freight train. His scotch glass froze halfway to his lips. Her breath caught in her throat. Time stretched thin and brittle between them. Leon's gaze dropped to her stomach. His face went white, then red, then cold as winter stone. He crossed the room in 5 long strides, his eyes blazing with something between fury and disbelief. You. The word came out strangled, raw. Sienna lifted her chin, refusing to flinch. Me? How long have you known? Known what? Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. That the father of my child was someone I'd never see again? Since the test came back positive. Leon's hand gripped her elbow. Not rough, but insistent. He pulled her into a private viewing room, away from curious eyes and whispered gossip. The door clicked shut behind them. Why didn't you find me? His voice was low, dangerous. Why didn't you tell me? Sienna laughed, bitter and sharp. Tell you what? I didn't even know your name. You think I could just waltz up to every billionaire in the city and ask if they remember a one-night stand? I'm Leon Hart. He said it like she should have known, like everyone should know. And I've been searching for you for months. Well, congratulations. She gestured to her stomach. You found me. Now what? He stared at her belly, something flickering in his dark eyes. Pain, longing, fear. That's my child. No. Sienna's voice turned to steel. This is my child. You were a stranger I met at a party. You don't get to claim anything. Leon stepped closer, invading her space, his cologne wrapping around her like a memory. I have rights, legal rights, financial responsibilities. I don't want your money. Then what do you want? The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility. Sienna's eyes burned with unshed tears. I want to go back to that night and make a different choice. But we don't get do-overs, do we? Before Leon could respond, the gallery owner knocked on the door. Miss Reeves, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent. Sienna brushed past Leon, her heart hammering against her ribs. She stepped back into the main gallery and froze. A woman stood by her largest painting, elegant and cold in a white dress. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a severe bun. Her smile was all teeth and venom. Sienna Reeves, the woman said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. I've heard so much about you. Leon appeared beside Sienna, his entire body going rigid. Victoria? The woman turned her icy gaze to Leon and her smile widened. Hello, darling, surprise. Sienna looked between them, dread pooling in her stomach. Who is she? Leon's jaw clenched. My fiancé. The word hit Sienna like a physical blow. The room tilted. Her vision blurred at the edges. Victoria stepped forward, linking her arm through Leon's possessively. We've been engaged for 2 years. The wedding is in 3 months. She looked at Sienna's stomach with cruel amusement. Though it seems my fiancé has been keeping secrets. Sienna backed away, shaking her head. You're engaged. It's not what you think, Leon started, reaching for her. Don't touch me. The words came out strangled, broken. Don't you dare touch me. She turned and ran, pushing through the crowd, ignoring the curious stares and whispered questions. She burst onto the street, rain pouring down, soaking her dress, mixing with the tears streaming down her face. Behind her, she heard Leon shouting her name. But she didn't stop. She couldn't stop, because the man she'd been unable to forget, the father of her unborn child, belonged to someone else. Leon found her 3 days later. Sienna's studio was a mess of paint-splattered floors and tear-stained canvases. She'd locked herself inside, ignoring phone calls and knocks on the door. But Leon Hart was a man who got what he wanted, and apparently, that included breaking into her sanctuary. She heard the lock click, turned to find him standing in her doorway, rain dripping from his dark hair, his eyes hollow with sleepless nights. Get out. We need to talk. We needed to talk 3 days ago, before I found out you're engaged. Sienna threw her paintbrush at him. It clattered against the wall. How could you do this to me, to us? Leon stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Victoria and I have an arrangement. It's not love, it's business. Business, Sienna laughed, the sound brittle and broken. You sleep with strangers and call your engagement business. That's not complicated, Leon. That's cowardice. You're right. The admission seemed to cost him. He ran a hand through his hair, looking more vulnerable than she'd ever seen him. I've been a coward. I've been hiding behind contracts and obligations for so long, I forgot what it felt like to want something real. And what do you want now? Leon crossed the room in 3 strides, cupping her face in his hands. You, the baby. A chance to be someone other than the monster everyone thinks I am. Sienna's breath hitched. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. What about Victoria? I'll break the engagement, tonight. Just like that? Just like that. His thumb traced her cheekbone. I should have done it months ago. But I didn't know I had a reason to hope until I saw you at that gallery. Sienna pressed her hand over his, feeling the warmth of his palm against her skin. You can't just walk away from your life because of one night. It wasn't just one night. Leon's voice dropped to a whisper. It was the only night that mattered. He kissed her then, soft and desperate, and Sienna felt herself melting into him. The anger and hurt began to blur at the edges. Maybe they could find a way through this. Maybe love didn't have to be simple to be real. When they broke apart, Leon rested his forehead against hers. Let me fix this. Give me 1 week to end things with Victoria and sort out the business complications. Then I'm yours, completely. Sienna nodded, hope blooming dangerous and wild in her chest. 1 week. He kissed her once more, then left, promising to return soon. 5 days passed in agonizing slowness. Leon texted her every morning and night. Sweet messages about nurseries and baby names and the future they'd build together. Sienna found herself believing in impossible things again, in second chances, in love born from chaos. On the 6th day, Victoria showed up at her door. The blonde woman looked different without her armor of cold elegance. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her designer dress wrinkled. She held a manila envelope in trembling hands. Can I come in? Every instinct screamed at Sienna to slam the door, but something in Victoria's expression made her hesitate. Grief. Real, raw grief. 5 minutes. Victoria stepped inside, looking around the studio with something like envy. You have what I never could. His heart. I don't understand. Leon told you our engagement is business. Victoria's laugh was hollow. That's true. But what he didn't tell you is that without this marriage, his company collapses. My father owns 60% of Hart Industries. If Leon breaks our engagement, my father will destroy him, bankrupt him, ruin everything he's built. Sienna's stomach twisted. He didn't mention that. Of course he didn't. Victoria opened the envelope, pulling out documents. Financial reports, legal contracts, merger agreements. Leon is gambling everything on you. His empire, his legacy, everything. The papers blurred in Sienna's vision. She saw numbers with too many zeros, clauses about hostile takeovers, breach of contract penalties that would leave Leon with nothing. Why are you showing me this? Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Because I love him. I've loved him since we were children. And I know he'll choose you. He'll throw everything away for a woman he barely knows, and a baby that might not even be his. Might not be his? Sienna's voice turned dangerous. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. Victoria's smile was sad and knowing. But Leon is. Why else would he demand a paternity test before making any legal commitments? He told my father yesterday. Said he needs proof before he destroys his life. The words hit Sienna like bullets. Paternity test, proof. Leon didn't trust her. After everything, after the promises and the kisses and the talk of baby names, he still thought she might be lying. Still thought this child might belong to someone else. Get out. Victoria hesitated. I'm sorry. I thought you should know what you're really dealing with. Get out. When the door closed, Sienna collapsed onto the floor, the documents scattered around her like broken dreams. Her phone buzzed. A text from Leon. Almost done with the paperwork. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I love you. She stared at the words until they stopped making sense. He loved her. But he didn't trust her. He wanted the baby, but he needed proof it was his. He'd promised her everything, while planning to tear her apart with doubt. Sienna pressed her hands to her stomach, feeling the flutter of life beneath her palms. Her child, her responsibility, her choice. She picked up her phone and typed one word, goodbye. Then she blocked his number, packed a single bag, and disappeared into the rain-soaked night. 3 months vanished into the small coastal town where Sienna rebuilt her shattered life. The cottage was tiny, perched on a cliff overlooking the gray Atlantic. Salt air and seagull cries replaced city noise. She painted during the day, her belly growing rounder with each passing week. At night, she talked to her unborn daughter about strength and survival, and learning to trust yourself when the world proved untrustworthy. She named her Lily in her mind. Lily, who would never know her father. Lily, who would be enough. Sienna told herself she'd made the right choice. But late at night, when the ocean roared and the cottage creaked, she still reached for her phone. Still almost unblocked his number. Still wondered if Victoria had lied. The knock came on a Tuesday evening, just as the sun bled orange into the sea. Sienna opened the door, 8 months pregnant and exhausted, expecting the mailman. Leon stood on her porch. He looked wrecked, thinner, older. His expensive suit hung loose on his frame. Dark circles bruised the skin under his eyes, but when he saw her, his entire face transformed with relief so profound it made her chest ache. "You found me. Did you really think I wouldn't?" His voice was hoarse, like he'd been screaming or crying or both. "I've had investigators searching for 3 months. I've driven myself half insane thinking you were hurt or dead or hating me. I do hate you." The words came out softer than she intended. "You asked for a paternity test." Leon's expression crumbled. "Victoria told you." She showed me the contracts. The financial reports. Everything. Sienna wrapped her arms around her stomach protectively. "She told me you demanded proof before you'd sacrifice your empire." "That's not what happened." Leon stepped forward, then stopped when Sienna flinched. "Can I come in, please? Let me explain." She should slam the door. Should protect herself and Lily from the man who'd already broken her heart once. Instead, she stepped aside. They sat at her small kitchen table, the silence heavy with 3 months of unspoken words. Leon stared at her belly with such naked longing it made her throat tight. "Victoria lied to you," he said finally. "I never asked for a paternity test. I never doubted you, Sienna. Not once." "Then why did she say that?" "Because she's desperate." Leon pulled out his own phone, scrolling through messages. "Look, these are from her father. He's the one demanding the test. He wants ammunition to paint you as a gold digger, to prove the baby isn't mine so he can keep control of the company merger." Sienna read the messages, her heart hammering. Threats, ultimatums, demands for DNA evidence before any wedding cancellation could be finalized. "I refused," Leon continued, his voice rough with emotion. "I told him the baby was mine, that I didn't need proof because I trusted you. That's when Victoria came to you. She knew if she could drive us apart, I'd have no reason to walk away from the merger." "So you did break the engagement?" "The day after the gallery. I sent Victoria the termination papers and told her father I was done." Leon laughed, bitter and broken. "I lost everything, Sienna. The company, my fortune, my reputation. Victoria's father moved fast. He executed a hostile takeover, froze my assets, destroyed my credit. I went from billionaire to bankruptcy in 6 weeks." Sienna stared at him, the words not quite computing. "You lost Hart Industries?" "Every last share." He met her eyes, and the vulnerability there stole her breath. "And I'd do it again, 1,000 times, because none of it mattered without you." Tears burned behind her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you fight back? How could I?" Leon's hand clenched on the table. "You'd blocked my number, changed your address, vanished. I had no way to reach you to explain, to fix what Victoria had broken between us. I thought you didn't trust me. I trust you more than I've ever trusted anyone." He stood slowly, moving to kneel beside her chair. His hand hovered over her belly, asking permission. When she nodded, he pressed his palm against the swell of their daughter. I trust you with the only thing that matters. Our child. Lily kicked against his hand, and Leon's eyes filled with tears. She's strong, he whispered. Like her mother, Sienna covered his hand with hers. What do we do now? You've lost everything because of me. I haven't lost everything. Leon looked up at her, and for the first time in months, she saw hope in his dark eyes. I found you. They stayed like that, hands intertwined over their daughter, as the sun set over the ocean. Sienna felt the walls around her heart beginning to crack. Maybe trust wasn't about certainty. Maybe it was about choosing to believe in someone even when fear screamed to run. I'm sorry, she said softly. For running. For not listening. For believing the worst. I'm sorry for not being clearer. For letting business and obligation blind me to what mattered. Leon stood, helping her to her feet. But we have time to fix it. If you'll let me stay. If you'll give me another chance. Sienna studied his face, seeing the man beneath the mask for the first time. Broken. Honest. Real. One condition. Anything. No more secrets. No more half-truths. If we do this, we do it with complete honesty. Leon cupped her face in his hands, his thumb tracing her lips. Complete honesty. I promise. He kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious he'd almost lost. Sienna melted into him, tasting salt and hope and the beginning of something new. When they broke apart, headlights flooded through the cottage window. Sienna pulled back, confused. Are you expecting someone? Leon's expression shifted, hardened. Get behind me. What? Leon, what's happening? The door burst open. Victoria stood in the entrance, rain-soaked and wild-eyed. But it wasn't her appearance that made Sienna's blood run cold. It was the gun in her trembling hand. Time fractured into sharp, terrible clarity. Victoria's mascara ran in black rivers down her pale cheeks. Her designer coat dripped rain onto Sienna's worn floorboards. The gun shook in her hands, but her finger rested too close to the trigger. You took everything from me. Her voice cracked on every word. My future, my company, my husband. Leon stepped in front of Sienna, his body a shield. Victoria, put the gun down. Don't you dare tell me what to do. Victoria's laugh bordered on hysterical. You don't get to give orders anymore, Leon. You're nothing now. No money, no power, no legacy. You're right. Leon's voice was steady, calm, like he was negotiating a business deal instead of staring down a weapon. You won. You destroyed me. So why are you here? Because destroying you wasn't enough. Victoria's gaze shifted to Sienna, and the hatred there burned cold and absolute. You still have her. You still have hope, and I can't live in a world where you get to be happy while I'm left with nothing. Sienna felt Lily kick hard against her ribs, as if sensing the danger. She pressed a hand to her belly, trying to slow her racing heart. Panic wouldn't save them. Only clear thinking would. Victoria, Sienna said softly, stepping around Leon despite his sharp intake of breath. Look at me. Don't. Victoria's hand steadied on the gun. Don't try to manipulate me with your sad artist routine. I'm not trying to manipulate you. Sienna took a small step forward. I'm trying to understand. You said you loved him. Real love doesn't destroy. It doesn't take. It lets go. Easy to say when you're the one he chose. He didn't choose me. Sienna's voice strengthened. He chose himself. He chose to stop living in a cage of obligation and expectation. You could make the same choice. You could walk away from this and find someone who loves you the way you deserve. I don't want someone else. Tears streamed faster down Victoria's face. I want him. I've always wanted him. Leon's jaw clenched. Victoria, you never loved me. You loved the idea of me, the power, the status, but you never knew me. And she does? Victoria's hand swung toward Sienna. She spent one night with you. One night. I spent 20 years. Then you should know, Leon said quietly, that I've been empty for all 20 of those years. Until I met her. The words hung in the rain-soaked air. Victoria's face crumpled. The gun wavered. For a moment, Sienna thought she might lower it. might choose mercy over revenge. Then Victoria's expression hardened into something cold and final. If I can't have you, no one can! The gun swung toward Leon. Everything happened at once. Sienna lunged forward, her pregnant body moving on pure instinct. Leon shouted her name. The gun fired, the sound deafening in the small cottage. Pain exploded through Sienna's shoulder. She stumbled, her vision whiting out at the edges. Strong arms caught her before she could fall. Leon's voice, frantic and broken, calling her name over and over. Through the haze of pain, Sienna saw Victoria standing frozen, the gun clattering from her hands. Horror and realization dawned on her face as she stared at what she'd done. No, Victoria whispered. No, I didn't mean to. I wasn't aiming for her. I wouldn't. I couldn't. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Leon pressed his hand against Sienna's shoulder, trying to stem the bleeding. His face was white, his hands shaking. Stay with me. Please, Sienna, stay with me. The baby. Sienna's voice came out weak, thready. Is the baby okay? Leon's hand moved to her belly, feeling for movement. Relief flooded his features when Lily kicked against his palm. She's okay. She's strong. Just like you. Sienna's vision blurred. She could hear police shouting, footsteps pounding up the porch steps. Victoria sobbing, Leon's desperate pleas for her to hold on. Promise me. Sienna gasped out, gripping Leon's hand with what little strength remained. If something happens to me, promise you'll take care of her. Love her enough for both of us. Nothing is happening to you. Leon's tears fell onto her face, mixing with the rain. You're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. Promise me. I promise. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. But you're not going anywhere. You hear me? You don't get to leave me again. The paramedics burst through the door. Everything after that became fragments, flashing lights, the smell of antiseptic, concerned faces leaning over her. Leon's hand never leaving hers, even when they tried to pull him away. The surgery was a blur of white light and distant voices. When Sienna woke, the world was soft and quiet. Hospital machines beeped rhythmically. Late afternoon sun streamed through clean windows, and Leon sat beside her bed, cradling a tiny bundle wrapped in pink blankets. She came early, he said softly when he saw Sienna's eyes open. His voice was rough from crying, exhaustion, relief. 8 hours after the surgery. The doctor said the trauma triggered labor, but she's healthy. Perfect. Look at her, Sienna. Look at what we made. He placed their daughter in Sienna's arms. Lily was small and wrinkled and absolutely beautiful. She had Sienna's red hair, just a wisp of it, and when she opened her eyes, they were Leon's dark, knowing gaze. She gripped Sienna's finger with surprising strength. Hi, baby girl, Sienna whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm your mama, and I love you so much. Leon sat on the edge of the bed, wrapping his arms around both of them. His chin rested on Sienna's head. Victoria's in custody. She's claiming temporary insanity. Her lawyers are working on a plea deal. I know I should hate her, Sienna said quietly, but I just feel sorry for her. She lost herself trying to hold on to something that was never real. You almost died protecting me. Leon's voice cracked. Why would you do that? Sienna looked up at him, seeing the man behind the power, the vulnerability beneath the strength. Because you matter. Because this matters. She gestured to the three of them, tangled together in the hospital bed. Because love is choosing someone even when it's terrifying. Leon kissed her then, soft and reverent. I spent my whole life building an empire, but this, right here, is the only thing I'll ever need. They stayed like that as the sun set outside, bathing the hospital room in gold. Lily slept peacefully between them, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. Sienna felt the fear and pain of the past months beginning to fade, replaced by something stronger. Hope. Not the naive hope of the Masquerade night, but the hard-won hope of two broken people choosing to heal together. What happens now? Sienna asked. Leon smiled, the first real smile she'd seen since that fateful night. Now we figure it out. Day by day, no secrets, no running. Just us, Sienna echoed. And for the first time in her life, Just us felt like more than enough. 5 years later, Sienna stood in her gallery, watching Leon chase Lily through the crowd of art patrons. Their daughter was all wild red curls and mischievous laughter, her father's determination evident in every step. Sienna's paintings covered the walls, bold and raw and honest. Each one told a story of transformation, of masks shed and truth embraced. The critics called her work revolutionary. Sienna called it survival. Leon had rebuilt his life from nothing, creating a smaller company focused on ethical business practices. He'd never regained his fortune, but he'd found something worth more: peace, purpose, family. Victoria had served 2 years for assault with a deadly weapon. She'd written Sienna a letter from prison, apologizing for the pain she'd caused. Sienna had written back, offering forgiveness. Not because Victoria deserved it, but because holding on to anger felt like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. "Mama," Lily ran up, throwing her arms around Sienna's legs. "Daddy says you're famous," Sienna laughed, scooping up her daughter. "Daddy exaggerates." Leon joined them, sliding an arm around Sienna's waist. "I never exaggerate. I just recognize genius when I see it." They stood together, a family forged from chaos and choice. The gold filigree mask from that long-ago masquerade hung framed on the wall behind Sienna's largest painting, a reminder of where they'd started and where they'd chosen to go instead. Because sometimes the masks we wear don't hide who we are. They reveal who we're brave enough to become. The end.